Hey, what's up everyone? It's Cire here, and today I'm going to teach you how I paint some clean white armor. So first we start off with a Vallejo black primer. Any primer will do, as long as it's black and matte. We're going to be building this up, and we want to leave black in the shadows. First we're going to start with Vallejo French Mirage Blue, which is kind of gray-blue color. This works great in the shadows, but it's okay if you still have some black in the deepest shadows. Here I'll do a quick turnaround and show you what I mean. But generally speaking, you want to cover as much of the model as you can with this French Mirage Blue. So you can see a little bit of black on the underside of those shoulder pads there. Next up, we're going to grab our Wolf Gray. This is a blue-gray color. Pretty light, not quite white though. And what you're going to do here is you're going to cover most of the model, again, leaving the deep shadows, the previous colors. Maybe it's just better if you see what I'm see what I mean. It's harder to explain. It's easier to look at it visually. You'll notice in this tutorial that I'm not going to do a ton of edge highlighting. I'm not going to do any weathering, which I normally do on all my models. And that's because for this tutorial, I wanted a clean armor. And also, I'm trying to paint this up under a deadline. I've got LVO coming up. So I'm going to try and get away with skipping some steps if I can. Think of this as more of an army painting tutorial. But luckily, where we leave this model, I can always come back later and adjust and add detail if I want to. And then for our final highlight, we're going to grab some Liquitex Titanium White. This is white ink through an airbrush. Any white will do. I just like this one because it's pre-thinned, and it comes out of the airbrush very nicely. But really, any white will do. If you prefer regular acrylics, I like Vallejo Dead White. That's also pretty nice, clean white. I'll actually be using that later in the tutorial when I use the brush because I think it's a little bit easier than using an acrylic ink through an airbrush as opposed to a regular hairy brush. With this highest highlight, really the only thing you need to do is not cover up too much of the previous layers. We still want to maintain some of that wolf gray so we can get that nice transition. And just a quick reminder, if you do enjoy these tutorials and these videos, we'd appreciate a like and subscribe. Helps us out, and we appreciate it. Thanks. Okay, so next I'm going to do a gloss varnish, and there's actually a couple of reasons for this. Protection. Acrylic ink is not super durable, so I like to give it a layer to protect it. We're also going to be applying some decals next. Softened with microset. And the reason you want a gloss surface, yes, I struggle here with this. The reason you want a gloss surface is that you want a flat surface to put transfers on. If you have a bumpy surface underneath, you'll sometimes get this smoky effect and you'll be able to see the outline of the transfer where it's cut out. And we're also going to be doing some panel lining, and having a smooth surface is better for panel lining. Yeah, with the transfers, you want to throw some microsol on top. Not 100% necessary as a step, but I like to do it. It tends to give me better results. It dissolves the transfer a little bit. Now, I mixed these two panel liners, the gray and the black, by Tamiya because the regular gray wasn't quite dark enough and the black was too dark. So mix the two, about 1-to-1 mix. And just apply this to all the panels and vents and areas like that. What's great about this is if you mess up, you can just wipe it away. That's another advantage of the gloss varnish. It's a surface that's easy to wipe off. And yeah, we're going to apply this to all the little indents. You can see I've already done a little bit on their feet there. This just will help us define the panels because, again, we're not going to do too much weathering. We're not going to do too much edge highlighting. I'll do a tiny bit, but really the main point is to get the definition from this panel lining. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to black out with Vallejo Model Color Black all the areas that are going to be metallic or, well, areas that aren't going to be white, such as the rubber undersuit and all that stuff. Now I grab this Vallejo Dead White and do a little bit of edge highlighting. Really only focusing on areas of prominence and mostly on the front. I don't bother doing too much on the back. But this is just going to be a couple of areas. I'm not going to edge highlight the whole thing. This is really to taste, honestly. You can entirely skip this step if you want. And this just gives you an idea of what I've done. with that edge highlighting. Just a tiny bit on the easiest to get to areas on the tops. All right, so for this cloth, I'm keeping it very basic. I'm going to highlight some of the more raised edges with Vallejo Black Gray. It's kind of a bluey, blackish color to it. And this is, I'm keeping it very basic. I'm also going to hit the holster there, and I'm just going to focus on getting the areas that would catch a little more light than the rest. This is something that is we can always come back and do more later, but again, like I said, I'm trying to get this done quickly in a way that still looks nice, but is not, I would say, my usual standard for characters, but good enough for the tabletop. Then we're going to grab some Vallejo Dark Gray. This is a slight step up, and we're just going to highlight the tips, trying to keep some of that previous black gray showing through. So that's going to be the bottoms of the robes, maybe the topmost part of the robes as well. Just keeping it within the previous areas of black gray. And with this dark gray, I'm also going to define some of the raised edges on that black undersuit. Can't really see here because the Gravis power cords are in the way. But then I go back to that Vallejo Black and just glaze in areas where I felt like it wasn't too smooth or that I want to darken back down. That's going to be a pretty thin mix, probably 3 parts water to 1 part black. So this is where I'm going to have a little bit of fun. I probably should have just done something more basic if I was trying to get this done quickly, but I figured why not. I'm going to grab some Phoenician purple and I'm going to paint some liquid in here. You know, with white armor and black cloth, like there's not too much color going on, so I like to add little areas of interest with some saturated colors here. And I'm going to do purple inside this little container thing. He also has some green vials on his belt. We're going to do those green, and he also has a his screen is also going to be green. But then we're going to move up to AK Interactive Blue Violet, and just first we're going to paint the tops of here. We're going to paint the top of that liquid like that, but we're also going to come back and do some wet blending. So with that blue violet, we apply it thick, go back to that Phoenician purple, and then just feather out between the two. This might take a couple of tries if you're not used to it. This is a good area to practice in because you don't need to be too precise with it. And then we grab Vallejo Lustful Purple, and what we're going to do with this is just define the very top of that liquid. Again, think of it as like shining, reflecting light. We're also going to draw a couple of bubbles here. This took me a couple of tries, but it's easy enough to just go back and paint over what you, if you don't like the results, go back to that Phoenician Purple, that Blue Violet, and just reblend it. You can see it here. I don't, later on you'll see that these bubbles are different because I don't really like the way they turned out, but I just go back over them and adjust as needed. Yeah, and I'll take this moment to say, you know, if you enjoy these type of tutorials and enjoy these type of videos, we also have streams. We stream multiple times a week, and if you want to come and join us on our painting journey, or maybe just want some company while you're painting your own stuff, check out our streams. Okay, super out of focus here, so sorry about that, but next we're going to try and make this look like glass. So I grabbed that Vallejo Wolf Gray, and I just drew basically an L shape in that corner. And then opposite of that corner, I grab a pure white, titanium white, or dead white will do, and just paint a dot. And here's a quick freeze frame for reference. Now we're gonna move on to the greens. So I grab Vallejo Deep Green, and I paint the edge of this screen kind of like an L, kind of like a graph shape going up, line go up into that corner. And I'm also gonna hit the vials that are hanging off of his hip there. And it's going to be the same method as we did with the purple. You know, you start with a dark green, then we're going to go up a level, painting the top of the liquid. Oh yeah, also, if you want to paint your lenses, this is another way you can paint your lenses. It's going to be a similar method. You paint a crescent shape, and then within that crescent shape, we're going to go up to a lighter green, so on and so forth. Same as the purple, though I guess I don't do as much wet blending. But that's also an option if you want to do that. And don't forget your lens here. The idea is going to be the same. Each successive layer is going to be within the bounds of the previous layer. So I then move up to Vallejo Escorpina Green, Scorpion Green sometimes if you're looking for it. And same idea, we're going to paint some of this liquid here, And then we're going to do a little bit of wet blending, a little bit of glazing with that previous deep green, just to smooth out that transition. Again, this is not going to be super smooth. This is trying to get a relatively quickly painted up tabletop plus standard, let's say. And same thing with that screen there. Just within that previous deep green, use that Escorpina green. Just try and keep that within the previous bounds of the deep green. Same thing with the lenses here. Just paint that Escorpina green within that deep green. We're now going to go back to our deep green and we're going to glaze in that green over our previous layers just to smooth out those blends a little bit. You can also do this on the lens and the screen here if you want, but I decided I prefer this look and just left it as is, only really focusing on the vials here. Within that Escorpina green, you're going to use the sliver green and just a little bit, much smaller proportion within that previous layer, paint a line there. And same thing with this lens, we've been doing with this lens there. Now alternatively to just painting this very basic crescent shape, if you wanted to, you could glaze in these colors, starting from the center, going out to the edges. Maybe I'll do that in another video, just to give you an alternate way to paint this. Then you're going to grab your preferred white, and just place a dot in the opposite corner of that brightest green in this case, or whatever color you want to use. This technique can be used with any trio of colors you want. Then we're going to go to our red, in this case Vallejo Gory Red, and we're just going to define these areas right here. He's got a purity seal there, and he has his little Apothecary marking there. And then we move up to Bloody Red, keeping it pretty simple. We're going to just define the top areas of this icon here. You can see it's kind of got this helix shape, so we're just painting the ones that are up top and would catch light. As for the purity seal, just paint the upper painted areas, the top of the skull, and the areas around the wax, the pushed up areas of the wax. For the purity seal itself, we're going to grab Vallejo Bone White. Any light tan color will do, but I prefer Bone White. And we're just going to put a couple of layers. This took about 3 layers actually. I don't know why I wasn't covering super well. But whatever you need to do to get a solid layer. Then within that Bone White, you're going to add a little bit of your preferred white, in this case, Dead White. And just cover the tops of the uppermost facing areas of the purity seal, as well as the edges. And then with a pure white, you're going to define the edges again. Then you want to put some text here. Again, sorry, the camera didn't want to focus, but just write some text using a very small brush. And then once that's dry, put a coat of Seraphim Sepia. The reason we do the text before is so that the text gets a brown wash over it as well. Then we're going to throw on a coat of AK Interactive Ultramatte. This is so that the white armor has a high contrast with these metallics that we're going to apply next. Vallejo Metal Color Steel in this case. Any gunmetal steel will do. Just something cold-ish color, cold metal color will do. I'm going to be adding some chrome later. I feel like that kind of exemplifies this, you know, clean, sterile white look that we're going for, but this is a good base coat. Also, I didn't want to do anything too fancy with his gun, so I painted that steel as well. Also, you might notice it's lightly kit bashed. He has a Volkite weapon there. Not the standard loadout, but I thought it looked pretty cool, so rule of cool wins out today. His saws are also done up with that Vallejo Metal Color Steel. But back to the Volkite, we're going to grab our Citadel Runelord Brass, and we're just going to pick out these coils. Also I'm not sure if it's, I guess the magazine at the bottom. I thought that they had cords coming out of them, but whatever. This thing here, whatever this imaginary weapon thing is. Then we're going to grab our Vallejo Metal Color Chrome, and with this we're going to pick out the saws, that middle Vox caster rebreather thing in the center of his chest there, and we're also going to pick out some of the top, the protruding areas of his Volkite weapon here. And if you want to, you can do a little bit of edge highlighting on any areas you want to. I only kept it to the most sharp edges, except for this part here for the Volkite. I wanted, his Vox thing here. I wanted to just push that up a little bit. It's so front and center. It's a focal point for his Voxcaster. It's so prominent that I wanted to make it real shiny. Go ahead and grab your Tamiya panel liner and define some of the edges in those power chords, as well as the Volkite weapon here. Now, if it spreads too far and you don't like the way it looks, you can always go back with your previous colors and redefine them with your brass or steel or chrome, depending on where you put this panel liner. Yeah, make sure to get the steel there as well on the saws. And once we're done with that, we're going to go ahead and tackle the bass. I'm not going to cover that in this video, but that should leave you with this. And there we have our nice, clean Apothecary. Again, I didn't want to do too much weathering or too much detail work on this guy. I wanted to get him out the door pretty quick. All in all, I think he came out pretty good. But what's great about this is that if we want to go back, we can add more detail later. All in all, I'm pretty happy with how this turned out. And as we're wrapping up here, I would just like to say thanks for stopping by. And if you want to see more of our stuff, we do stream multiple times a week, and we are still planning on putting out these tutorials once a week as well. Thanks, y'all. See you later. Bye.